clearly some sort of hand-wrist thing.
So, along with 2 days off, likely benefiting the Oilers to reset, very much so for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as he continues to battle his way through. Okay, Elliot, every now and then on this podcast, as you know, some quirky, outlandish, sometimes thoughtful suggestions for rule changes, maybe for the sport at the NHL level, come across the desk. This time, not from us, though. It sounds like some players that have been following along throughout the playoffs, and particularly the Stanley Cup Final, have some ideas about some changes that could be made to the game flow.
Yes, Kevin Bieksa came up to me after Game 2, and he said there were some players who made some suggestions for the podcast about rules changes that they would like to consider or discuss after watching Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And the first one was, if you ice the puck 5 times in one period, after that, delay of game penalty. The players felt there were too many icings in Game 2. Thoughts?
Wow. So now it's like not being able to change is not enough of a punishment. Players are too fit now for that to be a punishment. That needs to go a step further is what we're getting at. I don't mind that one.
I actually like the second one better. So here it is. This was the player's suggestion. Now, by the way, I would just like to say to Ron Hainsey from the Players Association, if he thinks the podcast has a stupid idea, he will text me and say, "You are an idiot." If you don't like these ones, Ron, it's the players, not me. This is it. The players suggested, and I like this one, that if you're playing defense in the D zone and your stick breaks and your team ices the puck, you should not be allowed to go to the bench and get a new stick. When play resumes, you should still be without one, and you shouldn't be able to go back and get a new stick unless it's in the true flow of the game, not an icing.
Wow.
I actually really like it. I really like it.
It feels, I mean, it's a little barbaric, but the more I let it sink in, that could be kind of fun. So now I'm just picturing, obviously,
I like barbaric. I'm pro-barbarian.
Right. Well, that's the era you grew up in. But so now I'm picturing like a centerman with their stick broken. Now, obviously, you could have a winger take the draw, but maybe there's a time where it's still the centerman and just goes full-on hit stick right off the face-off. Goes right through the opposing centerman. Completely negates the puck.
Well, I would like to see that. I think if you don't have a stick, you can't take the face-off. Let's just add that in.
Well, hold on. Up until this rule suggestion, everyone had a stick to begin a face-off. So I think you've got to, once you open the Pandora's box, I think you've got to be open to this. Well, I like the idea of making icings more consequential. Like you do see moments now where guys have been out the long change, extended shifts, and an icing happens, and you're like, oh boy, and the top guys come over the boards, and there's been moments where, critical parts of the game have all stemmed from that. But, 5 times, because then, you keep the running count, and you're like, oh, they're at 4, right? It's like in the NBA, if a guy racks up fouls early, it's like, oh, already his 4th foul.
Yep.
We're early in the 3rd quarter. What does that mean? Suddenly now there's a heightened awareness around that.
Well, nobody ever fouls out in the NBA, so you never have to worry about that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Not anymore. That's not too bad. I never would have thought of that, the broken stick.
Me neither. I thought it was really unique. I like the idea. I wanted to shout it out because I like the idea. It's creative.
Right. And where it's coming from.
Fan of and from a player, yes. I know you're a big fan of the jailbreak because you saw it in one of the... I think that's a great rule idea, but you saw it in one of the games of the PWHL this year. I love that idea. Yes. Like
being in the building when that happens is really cool because you've got the celebration of the goal, and then you see, if it's the home team that scores, the crowd gets to see their player released from the penalty box and come across and join the celebration. It's like double the joy.
And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what we're discussing, the jailbreak is when if you score a shorthanded goal, you terminate the penalty against you. And I think that's a great rule for a minor. Major is something else, but for a minor, yes. Here we are, breaking down the news and solving all of hockey's problems in one podcast. 2-for-1 special for all of the listeners.
Yeah.
And the league.
You've seen the 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. I raise you news and problem solving in one podcast. Especially, again, going back to the fact that it comes from, because it's one thing for us to sit here and be like, well, they could do this, we should change that rule. But for those that actually have to live it, that have to deal with these changes, or going, no, it's something we would like to see, that's really something.
Love it.
When is the next competition committee meeting?
That's a good question. I'll have to ask that.
May take a while for it to show up on the agenda there, but it's good to talk about. Really good to talk about.
I'll get a text. One way or the other. It'll either be...
Somehow it'll still be your fault.
You're stupid, or you and the players are stupid.
Yeah. You're stupid for not thinking it's stupid.
Stupid. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. We had talked just over a week ago, heading into the Combine in Buffalo, Elliott, that, the winds were circling in a way that it could be a very, very interesting week in terms of conversations and a lot of noise out of Buffalo. So we talked about the Sabres being active. The Rangers were another team. As the dust settles and everyone left the Combine there over the weekend, what other teams are you hearing that could be among the more active between now and leading right into free agency next month?
Well, first of all, in Buffalo, I had some Sabres fans who sent me notes and say, can you just explain what you're talking about with JJ Peterka? Do you think Buffalo won't trade him? And I said, that's not what I believe. What I believe is that Buffalo does not want to trade him. Now, who knows where this will go, but the Sabres have made it very clear that's not what they want to do. So I figured I would explain that a little bit more. As mentioned, the Rangers. Okay, I wanted to add a few more teams here. We've talked about how Utah is expected to be active this offseason. I heard that the Mammoth are discussing some stuff, and some stuff that might not necessarily be considered small. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if it's real, but they are definitely active. I think the pressure's on there. They want to have a big season. And so I think Utah's in the middle of a lot of things. It's interesting. There's a lot of talk about offer sheets, and